Hello, my name is Aaron, and welcome to Board Games, Bricks, and Hobbies. This is a series where I take a look at one of the board games in my collection and give my thoughts about it. I'll talk about my likes and dislikes, as well as if I think the game is going to stay in my collection. Today, we are taking a look at The Big Book of Madness. So, let's have a brief look at the components, and then we'll get right into what I like about this game. So, what do I like about the game? Well, for starters, I really love the theme and the artwork and just the overall vibe of the game. It's very much reminiscent of Avatar combined with Harry Potter. There's elements, there's monsters, there's magic, and the theme really just comes together with the gameplay, and I just really like the overall package of this game. Another thing that I really like is the original gameplay. There are a lot of cooperative games, a lot of them following on the success of Pandemic, that kind of do more or less the same thing. Meaning you have a deck of cards and you flip them over and sometimes a bad thing happens and you have to resolve it. But this game doesn't do that. It's a combination of deck building with other elements, and just the way that it comes together is not something that I've seen in any other game. Now, I know that more recently there have been some cooperative deck builders coming out, but this one isn't strictly a deck builder. It's a combination of things, and it's a little bit confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, it really is just a neat, original game, and something that I really haven't seen the likes of in any other game. And a third thing that I like about it is the fact that everyone is involved regardless of whether or not their turn is. This is another fault that some cooperative games have, which is that you have nothing to do on your turn. You have nothing to contribute, and it can just seem a little bit boring. But this game doesn't do that, because a lot of the spells and a lot of the interactions and actions that you can take in the game allow you to involve other players. You can give other people actions, you can give other people cards, and it creates an atmosphere where everyone playing the game is involved on everyone's turn. And I really like that because I think it leads to just a greater cooperative element. It's harder for one player to just boss everyone around, since everyone just is involved doing their own things but also working together. And I really do appreciate that about this game. So, is there anything I don't like? Well, is there anything I dislike about this game? Well, two things. The first being the setup. And this is somewhat related to the complexity of the game. Not that it's very complex, it just has a lot of moving parts, which can make it difficult to teach. And it also has a lot of moving parts in the setup. You have several different types of cards, and you have to put some in a certain order, and then you have to give everyone their correct cards, and it's just a bit complex to set up and to teach all at the same time. And so that's one kind of negative thing about the game, in my opinion. And the second thing, and this one is a greater con, in my opinion, is just the game balance. The game plays 2 to 5 players, and in my experience, with 2 players, it's pretty much winnable almost every time. And whereas with 4 or 5 players, I don't know if I've ever actually won this game. And so the game balance, and especially the scaling, when taking into account the amount of players, just really isn't that good. Now I know there is an expansion for the game, which not only adds a few things to make it harder, but it also adds some things that can make it a little bit easier. But I don't know if that's really going to change the game enough to balance it. So that's one thing that I really do wish the game had, is just better balancing, because it's extremely punishing. And in my view, a good co-op game on a standard difficulty level, you can win 50% of the time. So half the time you win, half the time you lose. That to me is a balanced cooperative game. But this one, more often than not, with 3 or more players, I lose. And that's a bit frustrating, because I really do like the game, I like the theme, I like the mechanics, but it just seems needlessly difficult. So with that, let's go ahead and go to my final thoughts. So, where does Big Book of Madness stand right now? Well, this one's on the fence. I do really like the theme. I like how original of a cooperative game it is, but really just that difficulty spike, especially at higher player counts, just, I don't know, it just makes it hard for me to want to pull this out and play it, whereas something like Pandemic, I know that I can likely win that about half the time. But this one is just difficult, and maybe I just haven't figured out the strategies, but I feel like I've played it enough times that I would know what to do and not to do. But maybe it just doesn't click with me. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the expansion does fix it enough. I don't know. If you've tried the game with the expansion, let me know if that helps. But I really do want to keep this game, just because of how much I like the original theme and the mechanics of it. But just the fact that it's so hard makes me not want to just bring it out for people to play, because it is just that difficult. So this one's on the fence. I'm keeping it for now, because I don't have a lot of cooperative games at the moment, and that's kind of why I picked this one up, because it seemed different enough from Pandemic, and I do enjoy it, but I don't enjoy losing so much. So those are my thoughts on the Big Book of Madness. Let me know yours in the comments below, and I hope to see you again in another video. Take care.